In this video, I will show how to make a folded rib. I start by casting on in a piece of leftover yarn, which will act as a provisional cast on. I use a smooth yarn in a contrasting color to the following yarn. It makes it easier to recognize the stitches when we are picking them up later. I cast on the number of stitches needed for my rib, using long tail cast on. I now have all the stitches for my rib and I'm ready to work in the round. Here I have cast on a smaller number of stitches to show the technique. I work in the round using magic loop and pull the wire through in the middle of the row. And I make sure that all stitches are facing the same way, with the cast on edge towards the middle. I prepare the stitches to be worked on the left needle. And I pull the right needle through. Now I'm ready to work in the round. I knit all stitches. When I've knitted all the stitches on the left needle, I pull the wire through and prepare the other half of the stitches to be knitted. And I knit the rest of the round. I've now knitted one round in stockinette stitch, and I knit another round before changing to the primary yarn. I place a marker at the beginning of the round. I add my yarn and knit 3 rounds in stockinette stitch. The 3 rounds of stockinette stitch makes a nice edge inside the rib when it's folded. And at the same time, the stitches are easier to pick up when we knit the rib together later. The bumps stand out clearly on the backside of the contrast colored cast on. I then work one by one rib in the round, starting with a knit stitch. Knit, purl, knit, purl, and I continue until I have the number of rows I need for the rib according to the pattern. I fold my rib and knit it together. I've worked the rib on a smaller needle than I will use for the rest of the sweater, so I knit my rib together with the larger needle. I remove the marker. I pick up the loops on the back side. The first stitch I pick up is just left to the yarn end. I pick up the loop and place it on the left needle. I now knit the first stitch from the rib together with the picked up stitch. Instead of picking up one stitch at a time and knitting the stitches together along the way, you can also choose to pick up all the stitches at once. I'll show you how to do it. I use a smaller circular needle to pick up all the stitches. I've now picked up all stitches and I'm ready to knit the rib together. It's a good idea to count your stitches. I place the two needles next to each other. And change to the larger needle for the following. The stitches are knitted together in pairs. I knit the stitch on the front needle and the back needle together. And slip both stitches off the needle. I continue like this all the way around until I have knitted the whole rib together. The rib is now knitted together and I just have to remove the leftover yarn from the cast on. The easiest way to do this is to cut the yarn at the beginning of the round. And find the end of the last row in leftover yarn. Since we used smooth yarn for the cast on, it can now easily be pulled all the way through. And the rest of the cast on can now be removed. We now have a nice folded rib with a stockinette edge on the inside. And because it's made with a Provisional cast on and knitted together, it is very flexible.